Hey, layered looks are still in, right? No. I don't care. It's flippin' cold. Anywho, we're gonna do something a little bit different today. Now, this video was a long time coming. I've been trying to figure out exactly how to word everything so that no one gets the wrong idea. Not to mention, I just don't want anyone to get a toxic mindset in general. Like, I'm gonna be talking about things I think you should know before you spin fire. But that doesn't mean that you can't spin fire or that you shouldn't. It just means that there are a lot of different factors in determining whether or not spinning fire is right for you. And if you'd rather not spin fire, there are LEDs and day props, and it's fine. And before we jump right into it, I just want to give a huge shout out to my good friend Lux Luminous. She is a very talented Levy Wander and an adorable YouTuber and just an all-around fun person. Lux, if you're watching, I love you. So Lux did a video on fire safety and what you should know before you spin fire for the first time, how to find a safety, how to put out a prop that's already lit, etc. It's a really great video. I will link it up here, whatever side it decides to be on today. So the purpose of this video is purely to educate. I want anyone who's just getting into flow arts, who's just getting into fire spinning, who thinks they might get into fire spinning but don't know yet, I just want you to make your decision with as much information as possible. And that's why I'm linking Lux's video as well, because she does have a lot of really, really good information in her video. This is more just like an add-on, extra things and little things that I happened to notice while I was spinning. Everyone's experience is different, and plenty of people will watch this video and go, I never had this problem. That's great, totally fine. But I did, which means that some people are gonna watch this and go, I did have this problem. What do you know? But again, I just want you guys to have as much information as possible. So point number 1, fire is not necessary. What? I know, shocking, right? Now this one should be a given, but there actually was someone that I met at Wildfire. She was so excited about everything that was going on. She loved the community, she loved what she was learning, she loved the classes, she was having just an overall good time. And then she said something along the lines of, I don't belong here because I don't really want to spin fire. One more time, what? You don't belong here because what? Guys, you do not need to spin fire to call yourself a flow artist. I promise, it's totally optional. That's like saying, you're not a real artist because you use colored pencil instead of paint or acrylic paint instead of oil paint. Like, it doesn't make sense. Everyone has their own style, their own preference, and they're all going to be following different walks of life. So of course there are going to be plenty of flow artists out there who prefer not to use fire, or who have used fire and decided, it's not for me, and never did it again. I myself, even though I started this with the intention to spin fire, I realize I don't really like it as much, and the reasons for that we will get into in the further points. And one of those reasons is part of point number 2, which is your pre-existing health concerns may cause an issue. I say may because I don't know what your life is like. I don't know what health concerns you have. You're not required to tell me, but I personally have low blood pressure that actually likes to drop. So drop in blood pressure makes me dizzy. It makes me faint. I've actually gotten a concussion from fainting one time. So you know what's really good at bringing down blood pressure? Heat. Again, this isn't true for everyone who has low blood pressure, but that's how it is for me. Almost every time I spin, especially if I forget to hydrate, because I'm human and I forget to hydrate sometimes, but especially just on those really bad days, I do get really, really dizzy when I spin fire. Thankfully, none of those dizzy spells have been too bad. I think one time, I had to pass my fans off to someone else who knew how to spin them. Of course, I had a safety there, but someone else wanted to spin them anyway, so here you go. So thankfully, I've never come very close to fainting while I was spinning, but I definitely have to be in the mood to spin fire now. I have to really have fire in what do I say? But nowadays, I definitely have to be in the mood to use fire. Do I feel like getting dizzy today? No, I'll skip it. I'll use LEDs. So if you do have any health concerns that may or may not be affected by fire, like low blood pressure or epilepsy, or even if you're just afraid of loud sounds, you definitely want to make sure that your safety knows what your concerns are and knows what you think could happen. And definitely make sure they know what hospital can they call. Are you insured? who your emergency contacts are, etc. so forth. Now, of course, this is geared toward new flow artists who don't know or aren't sure how the fire will affect them yet. Once you get used to it and you know how it affects you, you can kind of skip this. You may not have to tell your safety about it every time, but it's definitely something to keep in mind when you go to spin fire for the first time. Point number 3, the fuel is really freaking gross. Like really gross. It's dirty, it's smelly, and I really don't like it. All right, quick story time here. I tend to have a pretty strong sense of smell, and there was one time I was going to a friend's cookout, and she said, oh yeah, bring your props, you can spin your fire. And like, yeah, cool, whatever. So in preparation, I poured some of the fuel into the jar ahead of time. It was a waterproof jar, or like a spill-proof, airtight, I guess is the word. So I poured it in, and like a tiny splash got on the outside, right? It kind of like out of the jar, and it just like slid down the side. Clean it up. I drop it into the tiny paint bucket, drop the tiny paint bucket into the big paint bucket. I grab my safety blanket away from the fuel, of course, in a whole separate spot. Get everything together and head to the party. This is before COVID, by the way, but you knew that, right? You guessed that? Yeah. So I'm on the way, and I guess what I cleaned up from the fuel wasn't everything. Like there was probably still like a trace of it on the outside, which again, no big deal, happens all the time. As the fire's not like right there, it's not a big deal. But I could smell it. And you guys, I sat there inhaling those fumes for 20 minutes. That was disgusting. I got a migraine. I damn near puked. The fuel is that dirty. The fumes alone can really, really get to you if you're not careful. And that dirty nastiness of the fuel brings us to point 4. The health risks go far beyond burns. The fuel is still dirty, which means that smelling it, using it, or touching it, if you decide to do flushing, you could overheat your body, especially if you're sunburned. Believe it or not, when you get sunburned, even if you get cold later, your body is still really, really warm, especially if you just got it that day. So sunburn actually increases your risk of overheating if you decide to use fire. It doesn't happen every time. You don't have to panic if you've done it before or if you've seen someone else do it before. It is pretty rare, but it's possible. So again, just equipping you with that knowledge. And last but not least, number 5. Fire is very limiting. Now don't get me wrong, I can do all the basic stuff. I can light my fans up, do a basic windmill, I can do the 2-beat weaves, 3-beat weaves, I can do all those cool tricks. What I can't do on fire is a windmill from these points, which also looks really, really cool. If it's on fire, I can't do a palm spin from the wick. I can't balance my fan. I can't do any of that stuff. And of course, it's not necessary. But if you want to be a flow artist who really pushes boundaries and tries new things and inspires people to say stuff like, hey, never thought to do this before. Thanks for showing me that. You're gonna have to think outside the box. Without fire, you've got more room for contact tricks, you've got more reason to think outside the box, and you can really just have fun with things. So yeah, those are the 5 points that I have for you today. And bear in mind, these are just 5 points that I've noticed, that I've seen based on my own experiences and my own goals. Also, quick disclaimer, this video is purely about fire spinning, because fire breathing, fire eating, and flushing, fire on, fire off, each have their own set of health risks and concerns and things you need to know. Now again, these are only my experiences, and I have talked to a couple of other people who have experienced similar things, but this won't apply to everyone. You might find something about you that might apply to someone else that I didn't even think about. If you've spun fire before, what's something about spinning fire that you wish you knew from the very beginning? If you haven't spun fire yet, are there any questions or concerns that you'd like to discuss? Comment below. I love hearing from you guys. I love when you leave comments. I love replying to your comments. You all are so sweet. Now, on to the updates. So right now, I am doing the semi-final edit of TFC. Semi-final meaning I'm about to print the book. Now, before y'all get too excited, the first print is a proof copy. This means that my job as an author is to make sure the cover looks good, make sure the pages look good, and then I have to read through my entire book for the billionth time and make sure there are no spelling or grammatical issues or timeline problems that slip through all of the editing beforehand, including all the professionals. Like, it happens. It's bound to happen. There's bound to be something. But I'm hosting an event for it, you guys. This is going to be the first book that I ever publish. Yes, flow arts and juggling is a theme in the book. Even though it's not the main plot of the story, it's very, very prominent, which is why I'm so comfortable sharing it on this channel. I think you guys will like it. But I'm gonna leave a link to the event down below. It is public, so invite your friends, invite your family, invite anyone who likes to read. But with all that said, you guys, I hope you managed to learn something. Go ahead and like this video if it was helpful. Please hit the subscribe button with the little ding a bell. And how did I do? Did I get this uploaded in a week? I think I did. I think I nailed this. So if all goes according to plan, we will be uploading on Fridays. So we'll see how long I can keep that up. But for now, you guys, that is all I've got for you. I hope you have a wonderful flow journey, and I will see you next video. Bye.